First is packaging and distribution. Okay, so this has got nothing to do with the programming part. It is not related to programming, but these are very, very important things which we need to do when our application is ready. Alright, so packaging and distribution is the concept of sharing your application with others. Sharing your application with others means people who are not a user of your organization. Which means, let's say if Navyata has designed an application and she has designed an application which is really good, I want her to share that application with me. She has a different developer edition, I have a different developer edition, right? Now, how would she share it with me? So there is this concept of packaging and distribution, where you can package your application. So it's very simple. Package your app, upload, share the link. Very simple. The way you share any other thing, the way you share videos and songs with your friends on a Google Drive or something like a Dropbox, or the way I share videos with you, right? It's exactly the same way. So your app consists of different components. Okay, now what is a component? As we have discussed earlier, a component can be anything. Whatever we have in Salesforce, anything can be a component. Okay, so an app has several different components, which can be an object, a tab, a field, a trigger, a visual force space. So whatever we have done, a report, everything is a component of the app. Okay, but only custom components we are talking about, because these are the ones that we have created. So you can package only the components that you have created. You cannot package Salesforce components, okay, because they are there. If you have to share something with me, you don't need to share account object because I also have that. You don't need to share opportunity object because I also have that. What you have to share is what you have created, and you need to share that with me. So when I'm talking about components, I'm primarily talking about the custom components only. Okay. So an app is built of different components. So you just have to do this thing in a few simple steps. First is create a package. Put components into it. Upload the package. So Salesforce gives you an option of uploading the package. Share the link. Okay, and the other party, the receiving party, can click on the link to download. Okay, so the way you share your videos, photographs with your friends and families and everyone, the same way you are going to share the package also. Okay, so let's have a quick look into this, how this is actually done. And this is a very important concept. Why? Because a lot of times you will be required to do this. Let's say you are designing an application or you're working on some application and you need to share it with some other person, right? If you have become a freelance consultant and you are doing some development for some client and the client is not willing to share his login credentials with you, initially you can do the development on your developer org, and after that you can just give the ready app to them, right? Sometimes what happens is you don't want to try when you are in a job and you actually want to try something new. You don't want to try that on the actual Salesforce org which is being used by everyone. So you just want to try it on a developer edition, and once that is ready working, you can just put all those things in components and put it in your actual company's org, right? That's a very simple process. You just need to go to setup. Create packages. Click on new, create a new package, give a name to the package. Okay, save. So a package is created. So this package is empty as of now. It does not hold any component. No package components defined. You just have to go ahead and add the components to the package. Now whatever components you want to put in the package. So I told you all your custom components will be available, everything, whatever is there in Salesforce, visual force, validation rules, text, page layout, whatever you have created, everything is there. Report type, whatever you want. Okay. So let's take an app, add it to package. Let's say the warehouse app that I have created, I just want to share it with someone else. Add it to the package. Done. Once you're done with adding the components to the package, just click on upload. Okay, that's it. It will ask you for a version name. Version, I call it April 2015. Okay, upload. Your upload is done. Okay, the moment your upload is completed, you will get this installation URL. Now I'm sure you know what to do with this installation URL. You need to give it to the person who needs to install the package. So the other person will use this URL to install the package on his or her org, right? So if I give it to, let's say, Anju now, and she's, oh, this is Anju's login. Okay, if I give it to Sridhar, he will open this link with while he's logged in into his developer edition, and it will ask him to install it. And he can simply start the process of installation. If he installs it, all these components which are inside this all these components which are inside this package will get installed on his app or on his org, Salesforce org, right? So then he will also have the warehouse app. Got it? This is how simple it is. Please let me know if anyone has a question or doubt on the package wala concept. Super simple thing and very important thing. All right, it's a 2 minutes thing, but it's very important. All right. Now that was about package and distribution. Now the second concept that we're going to talk is sandboxes. Okay, what is sandbox? Anyone who knows what is a sandbox? Anyone, what is a sandbox? Quick. Any idea? No idea? Where we get to play with different things. Okay, that is what Anju says. Where we get to play with different things. Okay, why would we want to play with different things on our Salesforce org? You're kind of clear, your answer is kind of okay, but if you can, anyone can give more clarity on this, that will be great.
Jeet, this is Sonu. Is it like it's like a testing instance?
Testing instance, okay.
It's a replica of your production environment.
Right, and why would we need that kind of a thing? Anju says so that if we make mistakes. Okay, that's fine. Yes. So we need this kind of an environment because you cannot do everything on the live environment. If there is something which is live and which is being used by your users and customers and all the sales department, then you as a developer cannot afford to make changes on that directly, because you do not know whether they are going to work fine or not, or your code will throw an error, or your visual force page. Like we have been doing so many things in last few days, right? We all of a sudden create a page layout, and then we edit the page layout, then we put a new page layout. If there are 50 other people who are using this instance, can we do this thing? No, because every time you change something, that is going to affect everyone, right? We all of a sudden created a visual force page, and then we made that as the default visual force page, which is kind of a little challenging for companies, right? If the developer is doing these kind of things on the live environment, right? So for that reason, we have Sandbox. So Sandbox is just another instance, which is, as Sonu was saying, it's just a replica of the actual one. so that you can try things, you can do things, and then you test it, do the development, test it. If you find it's working fine, then only deploy it to the production. Okay, so we have ideally the cycle should be like this. There should be a sandbox, and then there should be a test environment, and then there should be production. Okay, so there should be sandbox. Sandbox is basically the develop or call it development environment. So this is going to be a sandbox. Test environment should also be a sandbox. Production should be the actual environment. Ideally, this should be the cycle. All right. However, this is not always the case. Some cases, if you feel that the process is not that complex and you really do not have a testing team, and the developers are the ones who are okay to do the testing and stuff, and you really do not want to stretch this process along one, then what you can do is you can just have two steps: development and then production. So in this case, what will happen? The testing will be done by a developer himself. Correct. So these are two cycles which are possible if there is any development work happening on your Salesforce instance. Either you should have a 3-step thing or you should have a 2-step thing. Okay. So all these things which I'm talking about during the sessions, try to relate these with what you're going to put in the resume also. You're going to put some experience, some project in your resume. Try to have answers to these small questions as well. Keep these things in mind. So let's say you're putting a project, you should be ready with an answer that okay fine, what kind of a development cycle you used to have. Was it from development to testing to production, or was it directly development to production? So you should be able to talk about these things. You should know these things. Okay, even if not asked, if you from your end, if you talk about this, that we just had a 2-step, it was done on the development environment and it was then moved into production, and the developers were responsible for testing it as well, getting the approval for deployment. So these things actually make a lot of difference, rather than just you talking about some concept or some project and not using any actual technical things. Okay, so these kind of explanations on a project will give you more chances to get selected. All right. Okay. So these two things can happen, right? Either development.
Yeah, Jeet, I have a question here. So, like, recently I have went through few requirements, and in which they were, they said like full cycle is required. So, is this what it is called as full cycle?
Right. This is a full development cycle.
Okay.
Okay, so but the person should know how to do development and then how to move it to the production. Got it? Or
okay, so is it only done by Sandboxes, or is there any other tool as well?
see, there are different ways of getting things into the production. Fine, but if you know at least one, you can always say. The problem is that you people are going to show some experience in your resume, right? So when you show some experience in your resume, you will be asked that okay, what was the process that you followed? If you know at least one of these processes, you are okay, right? So like if you are talking about a sandbox and then development is done on sandbox and moved into production, that's fine. If you say no, I used to develop on my developer org and then give it to the client, that is also another answer, right? So there can be 2-3 different ways of reaching that place. Sandbox is one of those ways, right? Ideally, if you are working on the company's instance, then it will be sandbox only. Got it? So the previous example, packaging and distribution, is the other way of doing the same thing, right? Okay. So now there are different types of sandbox, but there is a small challenge that we have here. The developer edition does not provide any sandbox because it there's a developer edition that we are working on itself is a sandbox, right? So it does not give us the sandbox option. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a few steps. It's very easy. It's very simple. Actually, it has got nothing to do. It's nothing very complex. But I'm going to tell you a few steps, and you'll just have to keep these steps in mind. All right. So the process. So ideally, development should happen on Sandbox. Okay. So the company has a Sandbox instance. When you purchase an actual edition, enterprise and the professional edition and the unlimited one, then you get a Sandbox along with that. Okay. So basically what happens is every Sandbox has a name. So your company will also decide a name for the Sandbox. Let's say your Sandbox name is SB. Okay. So first thing that I want you to know is how to log in into Sandbox. So this is something very, very simple. I mean, there is definitely, I'm pretty sure there is no one who's going to ask you how to log in into Sandbox, but I just want you to know. And it's a two-step thing. So you just need to go to test.salesforce.com. So for logging into Sandbox, you need to go to test.salesforce.com. Okay. So this is going to be a URL. Don't use salesforce.com. And then your username can be whatever is your username. Let's say your username is username@salesforce.com, sfdc.com. Let's say this is your username. This should be followed by .sandbox name. Okay, so because your Sandbox name is SB. So this should become your username, URL should be this, and you can use the same password. Until and unless you don't go into the Sandbox and change the password, the same password will work. Alright. So that's about the how to log in into Sandbox. Now once you have logged into Sandbox, there is no difference between what you see here and what you see on a Sandbox. Just that at the top here you will see Sandbox written. Okay, so at the top Sandbox will be written. That's it. Apart from that, the entire instance will look exactly the same as it looks here. Alright, you know how to do the development, you know how to create everything, so that we have learned everything. Alright, so once the development is done, you do the testing, everything is done. The other thing that I want you to know is how to deploy from Sandbox to production. So to deploy from Sandbox to production is a simple step. You just have to first of all go to setup, deploy, and under deploy you will have an option of outbound change set. Okay, change set is more like a package. We just talked about a package. Now, package is something which contains components. Change set is also something which contains components. Okay, so we'll go to setup, deploy. Ideally, you should have that here. Setup, deploy, outbound change sets. Okay. Okay, so you just go and create a change set. New. Okay, add the components the same way, the way we created the package. Same way, add components, whatever you want to add. Add to change set. Once you have added, upload it. Alright, now this is what you have to do. Create new change set. Add components. Then upload. After uploading it, you should just go to log out of Sandbox. login into production environment, okay, and login into the production environment, and then just go to setup, deploy. This time on the production you should just go and say inbound change set. So under deploy there is another option called inbound change set. So go to inbound change set, click on continue, and then you should just select the change set that you want to deploy. That's it. Got it? Select the change set that you want to deploy. You just have to validate that change set. That's it. Click on validate. Once it is validated, you can click on deploy. Alright, so all those components which were there in the sandbox will get created on your production also. For this, so this is the simple way of using the sandbox. Alright, so there are just two things that you need to know about sandbox. One, how to log in into sandbox, because it's a little different from the way we normally log in. Right, and the other thing is your how do you do the deployment, right? So on the sandbox you just create an outbound change set, and on the production you just need to go and receive the inbound change set. Clear? Any questions on this? Okay, great. The next thing that we are going to do is site. Creating a site. Okay, what is a site? Site is like a website. Alright. Sometimes you might want to create a platform which is accessible publicly. Now what is happening? Your database is in Salesforce.com. Anyone who wants to access it needs to have a login ID password. Yes. For every login ID password you will need to purchase a license. Yes. And you need to pay the license fee to Salesforce.com. Correct? Sometimes some part of your data can be a public data which you want to be displayed to people, like your products. You might want products link to be available publicly, all the products which are listed, all the features, the pricing, because that is nothing confidential, people need to see that, right? So for everyone, everyone who is going to see your products list, for everyone we cannot definitely buy the licenses, right? So we need to make this public, okay, make this data public. To make it public, Salesforce allows us an option which is called site. So what we'll have to do is we have to create a site, okay, and we'll need to put a Visualforce page on the site. Okay, so site is like getting a web address, and we can create a Visualforce page, put that Visualforce page on that address, and share that link with everyone. So anyone who is anyone who has that link can see the list of my products or whatever on that particular link. Alright, let's see this, how it works. Creating a site is very simple. First of all, let me search for a Visualforce page that I'm going to use. /v10, okay. Okay, let's say this is the page which I want to make public. Alright, list of opportunities. You can take anything, whatever you have. So first of all, you should be ready with the Visualforce page. So I will just consider this Visual Force page. Okay. If you want, you can just, because you want to make it public, so you don't need this sidebar and all these things, because people will not need to see that. So you can just make it sidebar equals false and show header equals to false. Now from here, what are we going to do? We will just go to setup and develop, create sites. Okay, just go to setup, develop sites. Click on this. Now first thing that you'll have to do is you just have to get the domain address. Anju, is it an enterprise edition by any chance? Hello?
Hello?
Is it enterprise
Hello?
edition?
I think so. I don't know.
How did you get this edition?
The company who, where I was working, they trained me on Salesforce, so they were the one who created this.
Okay. So usually you create site from the develop option. You can go to develop and then go to sites. Okay, it will ask you to first of all search for a domain name. Domain name is the address. Add the web address. You can give it anything, whatever you want. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and check availability first of all whether that domain name is available or not. It's not available. It's available, right? So if the domain is available, you should just say I have read and accept the force.com site's terms of use and register the domain. Okay, so you can just register the domain. Yes, the domain gets registered. It will take a minute for the domain to get registered. So this has become now your address. Okay, this mydomain.force.com has become your website address.
So Jeet, is it free over here on Salesforce.com?
Yes, it's free.
Oh.
So you can just create your site, register your domain. The domain is created. Now you can create your sites on this. On this address you can put your Visual Force pages. So you can just go and click on new, and site label can be anything. Let's say ops. So the page name will be this complete address: http mydomain1234.force.com/opps. So this is going to be the actual address of the page. Make it an active site. Select an active site home page. Select the Visual Force page which you want to put on the site, which was V10, right? Where was that? Here it is. That's it. So this is what you need to do. You just need to give it a label and a name, and what do you want at the end of the site address. Make it active and select the Visual Force page that you want to be used for this site. Save it. Right. Once it is saved, you can just go to public access settings. There is just one last thing that we'll have to do. Site is ready. I just have to make the opportunities public because people need to access opportunities, right? So I just need to go to public access setting of this page and click on edit. Click on, scroll down, and you have to give a view permission on opportunities, a read permission, so that people can read the opportunities. That page actually has opportunities, right? So people need to have a read permission on opportunities to view the opportunities, right? So that is what you just have to do. Whatever data you want to display, you just have to go to that particular object and give a read permission at least. And then just click on save. Contracts. So public permission is given, right? Now you can just share that site link with anyone and they will be able to see the list of data. So you can go to develop sites. Here is your URL. Just try to open this. On your browser, you will see that you are able to access the data. So now what I've done, I have made this page public, and the data on this page is also public, right? So people can actually see the data.
Jeet, I'm not able to view it.
What do you see?
It says his page is not found. Not available.
Naveta, you can see?
Yes.
And you can also see. Chandu, can you just share your screen and show us what is the error that you are getting? Did you click on that or did you copy paste it?
When I clicked on the G.
Try
Or
to
do I have
copy
to
and
copy
paste.
paste it? Yeah, sure.
If that makes a difference, let's see.
No, Jeet, it's still the same.
Click on details. Or if you have other browsers, just go to that Internet Explorer and try opening there. Paste it here. enable. Okay. So there seems to be some issue with your browser settings and all. You just need to go back and check that. Everyone else is able to see it. So
Okay.
I think that's working absolutely okay. You need to maybe some what is a firewall or something blocking that. So we just need to go
Okay.
back and check. So now what happens is this has become a public thing. So when you guys see the page, you see the opportunities also listed there. So this could have been any data, right? The projects or the employees, the job openings. Think about recruiting company. If they have a table where all the jobs are listed, and they just want all the jobs to be displayed on a page which is accessible by public. So that will be very a site will be very helpful because they can just uh, create a site, display the data which needs to be displayed, and share the link with their audience. They now the audience can see what all vacancies they have, what all job openings they have, and everything. Right. So this is one good way of sharing your data to public who do not have a login ID password. Right, making your data public. Right. So the way we have created this was a read-only page, right, where only data is being displayed. The same way you can also create option on the page. But if you are allowing a create option on the page on the site, then you'll have to again make sure that on the public access setting you give a create access also to public, right? Then only that create option will go. The new record creation kind of a thing, if you want to do, that can be done from there, right? Or create option or edit or delete option. I mean, usually you do not want outsiders to edit or delete things, but you might want them to create some data and all that. So that's something which can be done. Correct. So this makes your Salesforce more, Salesforce platform or framework to work as a portal also. So using Salesforce in backend, you can create a nice portal. Basically, what is there in a portal? So in a portal, you have a lot of content which is being managed by the end users, like these jobs and other portals where these classified portals and stuff like that. So a company, if they want, they can use Salesforce in the backend. Usually, normal websites they have PHP in the backend, right? So they use PHP language to use the SQL Server database in the backend and display the data. But you can also have Salesforce and this Visual Force Apex language can be used for designing a portal, right? Okay. So any questions on this? You are all okay? Great. So three concepts we have talked about. One is the packaging and distribution. The second one was the sandbox and the production environment, production life cycle, and the third is site, right? So that's what we have to discuss today. We'll meet tomorrow and we will go into some more advanced topics. All right, thank you all. See you